Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Big Four podcast. Um, as we get ready for week 4 college football, let's recap some games from week 3. First game, Michigan State goes on the road to Miami and wins. Reactions from this game?
I picked them to win, but it was a great win for Mel Tucker. Mike Tuck's coming, and we'll see if they can carry the momentum. The turnaround he's had in this team from last year to this year is immense.
Yeah, I don't really care. It's a bad team that Michigan State played. I think we all said Miami was not very good last week. We all agreed on that. Michigan State's offense has looked pretty good, even better than I expected. Peyton Thorne's been pretty good. Kenneth
Better
Walker,
than you expected. So you expected us to be a great offense this year.
I think the offensive line at Michigan State is really what's the biggest improvement. But yeah, I still really have no idea because they haven't played anybody, and they certainly aren't playing anybody this week, and really don't play anybody until they play Michigan on Halloween Eve. So
we'll know this week.
No, we really won't. Hosting Nebraska is not going to tell you anything. So we're not going to know anything about Michigan State until
I think
week
Nebraska's a little better than what people are giving them credit for.
They suck.
Nebraska's a very good team. The problem with Nebraska is their schedule. That's their problem.
Good job by Michigan State taking care of business against a team they're better than.
A little oversimplified. It's a good team win. It was a good, well-coached win. All facets of the game, defense, offense, special teams working together in tandem. The aggregation of marginal gains, relentless in the trenches, dragging them out into deep water. And that's what we wanted to do. And we accomplished that. It was a solid team win. Peyton Thorne played great at the end. We were able to run the ball. Offensive line early in the game struggled a little bit with the pass rush. Made adjustments as the game went on. That was pretty impressive. Went for the kill shot at the end. D'Antonio would have ran the clock out. We probably would have lost if he was the head coach. No, we went for the kill shot at the end, which was good. It was a fun game to go to. A lot of Michigan State fans, a lot of Miami fans. Tough season for them. Manny Diaz is all but gone. And De'Aaron King's out for a couple weeks now because our defense really hurt him bad. So good, solid win. Going into this week, it's a huge trap game and a game I don't think people are talking about enough. The spread is very low, and there's a good chance Michigan State loses this week. So we'll see. All right, Ohio State. A scary game against Tulsa, a game they were not in control of until the very end. So reactions from this game.
I guess the defense looked a little better. Still not great. At least in the Oregon game at the end, they got 3 straight stops, saw some potential. And then getting Tulsa kind of near the end, you saw the defense kind of step up and get some stops. But man, they just don't look confident the way they're playing. And at least last week we saw a lot more zone, and they were mixing up with freaking Coombs. All he played was the Don Brown man-to-man defense, and they were just screwing us. So at least the zone was keeping the ball in front of us a little bit. We'll see this week. But I think the offense is, obviously the defense is the huge worry, but the offense is very concerning to me. CJ Stroud, he's putting up big numbers, but he's not driving the ball downfield consistently. We'll see this week. Apparently he's not starting. So we'll see. This might be the last time he ever started for Ohio State. We'll see if it's Kyle McCord or Jack Miller. I'd like to see Jack Miller, but I would be shocked if it's Kyle McCord, and we'll see how it goes this week.
Yeah, Ohio State's defense is very questionable, as well as their quarterback situation. And as of right now, Penn State and Iowa are better than them in the Big Ten. Now, is that going to be the case?
And Michigan.
Michigan is not better than them. Is that going to be the case at the end of the season? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Michigan's going to be probably better than Ohio State at the end of the year.
So I expect Ohio State to figure it out here at some point. They've had this happen a couple of times where they struggle early in the season, and they end up figuring it out at the end, and they just win the Big Ten, really with no competition at the end. So that's what I expect to happen until further notice, till they prove me wrong. But this was an embarrassing game against Tulsa.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about the offense as I am the defense, obviously. The offense, I think, still got plenty of potential. They put
The
up
problem I have with
600.
the offense right now, is that in past years the defense hasn't played well, but you've had enough confidence in the offense that they can overcome it. When you go down, you look at that Oregon game, the defense gave CJ Stroud 3 straight drives for him to go down and score to tie the game, and he couldn't do it once.
He's still a young core. He's a freshman. He's played in 2 games, unless you count the 1 game last year that he played in. He hasn't played in a lot of games. He's still trying to get his feet under him. And they still put up 600 yards of offense against Oregon. And the offense didn't play great this week. Tulsa's a defensive team. But
Well, Tulsa has that
obviously,
weird 3-3, the multiple.
3-3-5. Well, yeah, we played them in years past. It wasn't easy. It's never easy for our offense usually. But yeah, I mean, it was, defense is concerning. You give up 500 yards to Tulsa. That's you're not going to win many games doing that if you don't have the offense that they have, which they obviously have a very good offense that's still coming in their own. Luckily for Ohio State, is the schedule works out for them pretty well. They got a punching bag this week, probably the worst team in FBS besides UMass and UConn. This week they got Akron. Then you got the 2 worst teams in the Big Ten East, Maryland and Rutgers.
Give
Weeks.
me a break.
And that'll springboard you into the Big Ten.
That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Maryland has proved once again this week that they are a top
They're
team.
in trouble. They're in trouble this week.
I cannot wait till we get to the Big Ten scoreboard because I have a whole list of things to say about Maryland. So I'm excited for that segment. Keep going.
Maryland's in trouble this week. Kent State gave Iowa a game.
Okay.
They're in trouble.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
They are in trouble. This is a classic Maryland loss here this week. We'll see if they do it. But anyway, Ohio State offense, I think they'll be fine. Defense, they got the Jimmies and Joes, but their X's and O's suck. It's as simple as that. They don't do the little things right. They don't do the things you need to do to win on defense. And so we'll see if they can figure that stuff out. It's fundamental things they need to figure out. If they can do that, they'll be fine. The Penn State game is at home. That'll help. Michigan game on the road. Michigan State at home. And they don't play anybody particularly tough from the West this year, unless you want to say Nebraska. I think Nebraska is a pretty good team. But besides that, it's pretty easy schedule. So Ohio State, I don't want to say they can be in cruise control and win most of their games, but they can, besides the Penn State and Michigan game. They can be in cruise control and win because Indiana looks terrible. Maryland's not good, and Rutgers is inept on offense. So, all right. Rocky Lombardi, tough loss, but he did the whatever salute to the crowd. Michigan defeats Northern Illinois. Reactions from this game?
Yeah, I hope you lose the picks by 1 game because you picked Rocky Lombardi.
Yeah, I mean, listen, good win. Just taking care of business against a team that you should. But, you know, it's still impressive to put up 63 points. I don't care who it's against. Cade McNamara looked very good in this game. I know Mike was really concerned about them not throwing the ball, but they threw it plenty in this game, and he was good.
They threw it 11 times.
Yep. Running game, obviously, not going to have a problem against Northern Illinois, but I was very disappointed in Rocky Lombardi's performance, 46 yards for the entire game. That is Brian Lewerke-esque right there. That may be worse than the 5 for 25.
Yeah, his QBR is almost as bad as or his QBR is barely better than Cade McNamara right now.
Who's that? Rocky?
Yeah, Rocky. He's got a 57 QBR, and what's his name? McNamara's got a 60 QBR.
Yeah, so I mean, good win. We'll see what happens. They should win this week, and then next week is the real test to see if this team's any good. But yeah, good job taking care of business against a bad team.
Michigan's they're a solid football team, but once again, it'll come down to the games when they get punched in the mouth, and we'll see how they are. Michigan State proved that they could actually weather the storm a little bit. Michigan is going to have to prove that later on. It's probably not going to be this week. It's probably going to be next week. It might not even be next week. The way Wisconsin's playing, if you play a 1-2 Wisconsin team, if they lose this week, that game's not going to mean as much. And we'll see. I mean,
Well, and we saw
Michigan.
as we saw from Wisconsin last year, it can spiral out of control for them quick.
Yeah, when we thought it was COVID last year, maybe it's not COVID. Maybe their offense is just this bad. I don't know. But Michigan, looking at that kind of like Michigan State. I mean, you look at the teams in the East that have easy schedules. Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State have easy schedules. Penn State's got Iowa to deal with, and they already played Wisconsin, but that was a big win. Michigan, on the other hand, has a very easy schedule. They get Wisconsin, but besides that, it's a cakewalk in terms of teams from the West. Nebraska on the road, that'll be an interesting game. And Northwestern's the worst team in the Big Ten. Michigan State, that'll be a hard game. Penn State on the road, and then Ohio State at home. So their hardest games are in front of them.
Well, you forgot about Maryland on the road.
Well, Maryland, the team that they did dodge last year, because Maryland would have beat them last year.
Yeah, and they'll probably beat us this year too. They're better.
I think Michigan's going to beat them by a lot because Maryland is a pretender. They're going to either finish 5th or 6th in the Big Ten East this year.
That's ridiculous.
All right, let's move on to Cincinnati defeating Indiana. Indiana, tough start to the year, and it doesn't get any easier. They go on the road and they play Bailey Zappi and the Western Kentucky Fighting Hilltoppers. So reactions from this game.
Yeah, massive win for Cincinnati. And I mean, Chris and I was saying it in our Big Ten preview this year, was that in Indiana last year had a very easy schedule and they played well. So they had an unbelievable year. And this year, their schedules, they just have a tough schedule. There's nothing they can do about it. Hopefully, I'd like to see them get a couple wins, sneak into a bowl game, but it's going to be a tough sledding for Indiana.
Yeah, no, pretty underwhelming win for Cincinnati.
Give me a break. They're just trying to give them a reason to keep them out of the playoff.
This game was really basically tied the entire game, and Indiana's not very good. So I was not impressed with Cincinnati.
Indiana's a good team. Give me a break.
They're not that good. And really, Cincinnati's not that good. But anyways, Michael Penix has completely lost it. I'm sure that a lot of that has to do with his injury, but he's been terrible to start the season. And
it's not just the injury. You can't blame the injury for some of the decisions he's making. My God.
I think a lot of it does have to do with the injury.
No, it doesn't.
He was really good last year, and
he's shell shocked. He's you don't want to say he's rattled, but that's what he looks like. He's rattled.
Sure. But yeah, Indiana, not a very good team. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games in the Big Ten. They're getting drilled with a lot of averages, as we've been saying. But they managed to hang in with Cincinnati because Cincinnati's not very good.
Yes, this game screamed law of averages to me. Because last year's Indiana team would have won this game easily. Because look at all the chances Indiana had in the first half. They were in the red zone twice, didn't score. They were able to score 2 times after that. And their All-American linebacker, who they held Cincinnati to like 3 first downs before McFadden gets the targeting penalty. And then they aren't able to stop anything after that. Cincinnati, good adjustments made by the offensive coordinator, Luke Fickell. Good adjustments made by my guy, Mike Tressel, the new defensive coordinator at Cincinnati. And listen, it was Penix didn't help him at all. I think Tom Allen's got to look at Jack Tuttle a little bit because Penix is playing so bad. It gets to a point where it doesn't affect the team's mentality. You're bringing out this guy who's thrown three interceptions in 2 separate games. It's not a great look right now. Indiana And this week, it doesn't get any easier because this is one of the hardest, one of the best group of 5 non-American conference teams you're going to face. And their athletic director should be fired for playing this game on the road. This is going to be a tough environment. At 8 o'clock, CBS Sports Network. How many times have we seen power conference teams go on CBS Sports Network and lose? It happens all the time. And if they do lose this game this week, they go to Penn State the week after that. And then they host Michigan State, then host Ohio State. There's a good chance that they're 1-4, they're 1-5 or 2-4. This could spiral out of control if they don't get this under control quickly. But that was not a good loss at all. That was a game they should have had. All right. Next, the Big Ten scoreboard. Let me bring up the Big Ten scoreboard here. All right, so from Friday night, Maryland defeats Illinois 20-17, a game that Maryland got extremely lucky in. Oklahoma over Nebraska, a game that was surprisingly somewhat close. Minnesota blanks Colorado 30-0. Notre Dame takes care of business against Purdue 27-13. Iowa was they were in a tough game early with Kent State, but they were able to pull away 30-7. Rutgers over Delaware. That's a sneaky game there. They were to pull it out. Duke defeats Northwestern and Penn State defeats Auburn.
Yeah, good win for Penn State, especially for James Franklin. But I mean, look at Nebraska. What was the final score of that game?
23-16.
23-16. So they lose by 7 points. You got 3 points on that extra point block. You got 3 more points on the missed field goal. And that's 6 points right there. And they had another missed field goal or another missed extra point. I mean, they were right in that game with Oklahoma. I don't think Oklahoma's as good as third in the country right now. They're certainly not playing like it. Spencer Rattler, I don't think's been great. I know other people are saying he's a Heisman guy, but I don't think he's looked that great. And Nebraska's a lot better this year than they were last year, that's for sure. So Mike, that's a trap game for you.
Okay. I have a lot to say about the couple of these games. First of all, this Nebraska game. Oklahoma had no interest in playing this game. They completely did not care at all.
Doesn't matter. It's a rivalry game.
Down and they still won. So I take nothing.
It's a rivalry game.
Nebraska.
Mon, it was the 30th. It was the third. Was it the 50th or 30th anniversary of the game of the century? Whatever that was, I don't even know what that was, but it was some game that they played.
Tough game for Colorado. Still a very good team. Now under their new coaching staff, they're still rebuilding because Mel Tucker left their program in shambles.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So
that's what happens when you hire a coach who's never been a head coach before. And Colorado did it with this guy, and he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, well, Mel Tucker left their program in shambles. That's why. So good win from Minnesota, I guess, taking care of business.
Is that supposed to be a roast?
You're
just helping my case here by saying that.
He left. He did.
Their program was good. He left. Now they suck. Just shows how great of a coach he is.
No, their program was good, and after he got there, they sucked. And now he's left the program in shambles.
Right, exactly.
Notre Dame, fine. Iowa, I don't care. Rutgers, I don't care. Northwestern sucks. You can't lose to Duke.
Well, you can't.
They're getting a new stadium, though.
They are getting a new stadium.
It's the biggest joke I think I've ever heard.
Very entertaining game. I was very confused at some of the calls from Auburn, play calling wise, especially the 4th and goal from the 2 fade that they ran. That was one of the most questionable calls I've ever seen.
I agree it was questionable, but what would you have called there?
Anything else?
I will say these football
I'd rather them run the ball straight up the middle.
Okay, you don't run the ball
into
into a brick wall. It's not. Don't do that.
Well, James Franklin ran into a brick wall on 4th and 5.
Well, no, that was an RPO.
Oh yeah,
he ran an RPO.
Good win for Penn State. Taking care. Sean Clifford was good in this game, and that was surprising because he usually sucks and he usually gets a bunch of hype. but he was good in this game, so good for him. This is a legit team that has a chance to make some noise, not only in the Big Ten, but nationally. A very, very good team. So good win for them. But the game I really want to talk about here is this Maryland game. What a win for the Terps. This is a team that faced some adversity in this game, down 17-10 with 2 minutes left in the game, and they tie it, and then they ended up winning it. Really, just an incredible, incredible win for the Maryland Terrapins. Talia Tagovailoa, best quarterback in the Big Ten. Not even a question.
How come Peyton Thorne's got a better QBR?
I don't care about QBR. Talia Tagovailoa is the best quarterback in the Big Ten. Not even close.
Well,
huge win for
Brandon
Maryland.
Peters threw this game away. He
I was
blows.
going to say, tough game for Brandon Peters.
He's got a 28 QBR in the year.
Yeah, not great, not great. But listen, Maryland is playing really well, and they're going to beat Kent State.
Well, they played a last name last week, so.
And they just gotta, that Iowa at home and Ohio State on the road. It's a tough stretch there. But this is a team that all they need to do is take one game against Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, or Michigan, and they're 8-4, just like I predicted. They're going 8-4. This is a really, really good team.
I've seen people taking Kent State this weekend, and they're not even in the picks.
Is this like when you saw people taking Western Michigan over Michigan?
No, this is different because Kent State was only down 9-7 to Iowa in the third quarter last week. This is a good Kent State team. Very good Kent State team.
I don't think you realize.
Look at who they've beaten. They lost to Texas A&M by 31, but they beat VMI, and
wow.
they gave Iowa a game last week. It's gonna be a tough game for Maryland.
I don't think you realize how good this Maryland team is. Just they're a juggernaut.
No, I don't believe in Maryland. I don't. I really don't.
They're a juggernaut.
Remember when they had Josh Jackson, and they started 3-0, big win over Texas. And then they played Temple and they lost. Well, this is the Temple game for Maryland this year.
They're going 8-4. I can't wait till they go 8-4.
When you said Josh Jackson was the best quarterback in the Big Ten.
Well, he was.
This Maryland team's the Mickey Mouse version of last year's Indiana team.
This is last year's Indiana team. This is that version.
No, but it's the Mickey Mouse version because they're not actually a good football team.
They are a very good football team, and they're well coached too.
Well, I mean, it's better than the last coach who was killing kids. So,
yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, I mean, we had the battle of the buffet between Maryland and Illinois with Burt Bielema and Mike Loxley, and I guess Loxley was able to get one more plate than Bielema in this game down the stretch. But, I mean, Maryland's not a good win at all. This is a bad Illinois team. This is a team that UTSA ran out the building, a team that Virginia ran out the building.
A team that ran Nebraska out of the building that you say is a good team.
No, Nebraska was not run out of the building. Nebraska had more yards. Illinois just got lucky with turnovers, and Nebraska just completely wet the bed. This was an Iowa State-Iowa game. That game, Iowa State way more yards than Iowa, just like Nebraska had way more yards than Illinois. But anyway, Tagovailoa, I think he's a very good quarterback. I do, but I don't trust any other part of their team. I think the receivers are very good. What you saw, Illinois' game plan, they did the bend but don't break. We'll let you move the ball up and down in between the 20s. And let's see if you can get it done in the red zone. And for the most part, Maryland was not able to get it done in the red zone. And if they can't do that, then they're not going to win many games.
They got it done.
No, they played a bad team, a bad coach team. Bielema is stuck in the 1950s with his offense. And yeah, whoever has the Illinois over 3.5, not looking too good right now. They might go 1-11. But anyway. Oklahoma over Nebraska. Yeah, they're a physical football team. They were well coached last week. They outcoached Oklahoma. I thought they played Rattler well. The strategy was good, and they played well. And they had chances. They just made too many mistakes. That's what Nebraska's done all year. They could have won the game. They just made too many mistakes. I don't believe in moral victory, so that's a game that you're going to look at and be like, "Oh, that was a lot. That's a missed opportunity there." But they have a chance this week to make amends for that. Minnesota, impressive performance. I listen, without Ibrahim, I wasn't sure if Minnesota was going to continue being that team that they were at the start of the year. I think they can be a solid contender. 8-4, 7-5, 9-3 type team. I think they can do it because I really like their defense. It's much improved from what it was last year and even the year before that. And Tanner Morgan's an experienced quarterback. He's in his 20th year. So impressive win, although Colorado not very good. Purdue gave it a good run against Notre. Yeah, Mel Tucker left him in shambles. Midnight Mel left in the middle of the night. Didn't tell anybody.
That's right.
Midnight Mel. Notre Dame taking care of business. Purdue was in the game, but they couldn't get enough offense to win the game, and they have a quarterback issue there. Is it going to be Plummer or Aiden O'Connell? We'll see. They got a game against Illinois this week. Yeah, that's a game they should win. Iowa over Kent State. Yeah, like I said, that was a close game for a while, but Iowa pulled away. Still concerned about Iowa's offense. I think that's going to be their undoing at some point this year. It's going to be their offense. It's just not good at all. Rutgers, solid win. Northwestern, Hunter Johnson showed who the real Hunter Johnson was in this game. 6 for 16, 3 picks, a quarterback rating of 2.2.
Not bad.
They brought in Helinski. He got hurt, or was it Marty? And they listen. It's a mess. It's a complete mess. Northwestern's a mess. They went 3-9 2 years ago. Their defense was good 2 years ago. They're going to be even worse this year, and they got a tough game against Ohio this week. And Penn State, yeah, I mean, it was a good win. Auburn's an SEC team. I don't think Auburn's that great. I don't think Penn State's that great. The problem with Penn State is I like Penn State. I think they're really solid all throughout their team, but there's not one part of their team that you look at and you say, "Oh, that team's elite." They're just really solid everywhere, and I don't think you can win like that all the time. Their offense, I don't think, is good enough to win big, and their defense is solid, but I don't think it can carry them to a Big Ten championship. I don't think it can. I think Ohio State's going to beat them, and the James Franklin effect also. All right. One significant out of conference game, Alabama looking like they're beatable somewhat. They go into the swamp and Florida gives them a game. Alabama gets up early, but Florida tries to come back and win. But the difference in the game was Dan Mullen can't coach, and that's why they lost. So reaction for this game.
Hey, when it comes at the end of the year, this is going to look like a good win for Alabama over probably a top 10, top 15 team. Doesn't matter how you do it as long as you get it done. Style points, I mean, they matter to an extent, but they don't matter when you're Alabama in the SEC. If you get out of there with 11-1, 12-0, you're in the playoff. And so at the end of the day, early game like that, grind it out, move on to next week.
Well, the difference in the game was a missed extra point. The game's in overtime if Florida makes their extra point. So,
well, I saw can't remember who it was, but someone said if anybody else besides Dan Mullen was coaching that game, Florida would have won.
Yeah, because anybody else would have gone for 2, and you wouldn't have missed the extra point.
All right. You would think Alabama's game plan in this game would be to let Emory Jones beat you. And I don't know if it was or it wasn't, but Alabama couldn't stop the run. And that's a little concerning, considering this is something they're usually able to do. Their offense.
Well, their defense hasn't been great.
The defense the last couple of years has gone downhill a little bit. But,
you can't play the same defense you played in 2011. And they're playing a different type of defense. They're playing a bend but don't break type defense.
Well, and you have to realize that this year's a little bit different. But the last couple of years when we've had these high power offenses, the defense is just going to be on the field more.
Yep.
when you're scoring so much and so fast. I mean, the other team's going to have the ball so much. Eventually, they're going to score.
Well, anyways, they can't stop the run. That's a problem because Florida's a good team. They can run the ball well, but they're not top of the line. They're not some top of the line rushing team. They're not even a top. They're probably not even a top 10 team. So Alabama. I'm a little concerned about Alabama, which is why I've been saying Georgia's the best team in the country. But nonetheless, Alabama will probably make the playoff. And this will end up being a good resume win in terms of beating a good team on the road.
Yeah, Dan Mullen found the right game plan. The problem was Florida was already down. Was it 21-0 at the time that he found the way to win against Alabama? How do you win against Alabama? You run the ball because there's no doubt about it. Alabama, they have undersized linebackers. Alabama is built to defend the pass in today's game because the game has shifted from a power run heavy type system to a spread system. And now it's kind of moving back to the power run, which I've been saying. You look at the Big 12, a lot of power run teams there. It's just a different type of system than it used to be. But Florida, they found it with the option. They kept running it. It worked. And I want to see if other teams can emulate that. Alabama's they got 2 games. I think that it's going to determine their season. Home against Ole Miss on October 2nd and at Texas A&M. If they can win one of those 2 games, they'll be in the playoff. It's as simple as that. And that's all they need to do because you look at their schedule. The Arkansas game's at home. They should win that. No other game.
They have Mercer.
Mercer's going to be a really tough game. New Mexico State. Oh my goodness, New Mexico State.
They probably also play the Citadel.
Well, actually, Luke, they already played Mercer earlier this year.
Did they actually?
Yeah. They won 48-10. We'll say I think Bryce Young's a stud. He's a very good quarterback, and if they can figure out how to shore up the run defense, they'll be fine. I think Ole Miss has a better chance to exploit their weaknesses than Texas A&M does. And I'm going to say right now, I think Ole Miss is going to beat them in a couple weeks.
Well, I don't think so because clearly Lane Kiffin's going to USC in the next week.
Man, who knows? Maybe Auburn can exploit it. Last game of the year at their stadium. I can't
Is
remember
that
what it's
Jordan
called.
Hare? That's a tough game.
Jordan Hare.
You don't want to play there.
Tank running the ball. Brian Harsin. I'm sure they'll sell out because Bo Nix cannot throw the ball. But yeah, Alabama, some things to worry about. Florida, this is kind of like the Nebraska Oklahoma game for them. This is a classic moral victory type game, but you cannot take moral victories in college football. You had an opportunity to win the game and you couldn't do it. And that's going to hurt. Now they got the Florida game or the Georgia game coming up on October 30th. And they got some tough games before that. They go to Kentucky. That's no cakewalk. Kentucky's a very good team. And LSU, talented LSU team. But you would think there would be some revenge factor there. But that's still not easy. And then the Georgia game, which they're probably going to get splattered all over the field. And then it gets pretty easy from there. So this Florida team, they should go 10-2, just like Florida's done every year. It seems like they should go 10-2. They lose to Alabama, lose to Georgia. They should win every other game. At Kentucky is kind of a swing game, but they should still win that game. And then it'll be another one of those years where you look at Dan Mullen and you're like, okay, you won 10 games, but this is a Jim Harbaugh 10 games because you didn't beat the good teams on your schedule. And then last year was Mickey Mouse because of the pandemic. All right. So we picked a game to talk about. Do you guys want to talk about your games first?
Yeah, Chris is going to get on me for this, but I'm sticking with it because I'm telling you right now, this is the downfall of Dabo Swinney. It's starting right now because he has turned this. He got lucky with a couple great quarterback recruits, and then he built it up around that, and now he's got to the point where he's made it all about himself. All of Clemson is now because of him, and he's made it all about himself, and that's his downfall. It's what got him there in the first place, but now he's gone over the edge. He's gone too far with it. It's the
Luke.
downfall of Clemson starting this year.
Luke, to
What?
quote Mark D'Antonio, pride comes before the fall.
That's right. That's right. Pride comes before the fall, and he's
Luke,
gone to the point.
This is ridiculous for all of our viewers out here. This is a take theft right here from Luke. I said this like a month ago, and I don't remember if you agree with me or not. But then you just like dropped it into the group chat the other day and like tried to use it as your own take. This is textbook take theft right here. This is bogus.
No, that's ridiculous. This is all on Dabo Swinney, and this is the fall of Dabo Swinney. It's not the fall of Clemson; it's the fall of Dabo Swinney, and unfortunately, Clemson's going with him.
I think the problem with Clemson is a couple of things. I think it is a little bit of D'Antonio because I think he hasn't changed enough, especially on offense. Listen, their offense was innovative a couple of years ago. I think their offense is outdated. And they don't have the offensive line that they had a couple of years ago, and they haven't been able to develop offensive linemen. They haven't been able to get the big-time offensive line recruits. They all go to Georgia because you can get to the NFL. Have you thought of a single offensive lineman from Clemson? I can't even think of any big-time offensive lineman. And they struggle in the trenches. They do. They have. It was the past 2 years, the past two college football playoffs. They against Ohio State, they got lucky, and then they got exposed against LSU. And then last year, it was clear as day. Their offensive line was not good enough. And I don't think they're fast enough either. So there's going to have to be some changes there. All right, Chris, what's your game?
My game is Fresno State and UCLA. This is another team that Mike said was the best team in the Pac-12, UCLA.
Nope.
This is the third team that he has said the best team in the Pac-12 that has gone on to lose to a bad team. So another poor job by Mike and talking about the Big 12. UCLA.
Washington lost to a bad team after he said it too.
Yep. And who was the U.S.? Who was it? Who's the other? Utah.
I was wrong about Utah.
So really,
I didn't say they were the best team. I said Utah was going to win the Pac-12 South.
No, you said they were the best team. And Chip Kelly really is. I've had enough of Chip Kelly. Everybody's talking about how he's building up UCLA. Give me a break. This guy's a joke. This team is a complete joke. You cannot lose a game like that. You're ranking the best team in the country. It's a complete disgrace.
Fresno State would be the second best team in the Pac-12. They're a really good team.
They would not give me.
They took Oregon to the last 5 minutes of the game.
They're not good.
They are good. They're a very good team. Very good team. I wouldn't be shocked if Fresno State wins out and they're going to have an argument to get that Year 6 bid for a Group of 5 team.
San Jose State's the best team in that conference.
San Jose State's all right. They're okay.
Who's their football coach? They have some random football coach.
Oh, I forgot his name.
Or is it their basketball? It might be their basketball coach.
No, Tim Miles is their basketball coach.
Yeah, Tim Miles.
Okay. I'm going to highlight this game. Wake Forest over Florida State, 35-14. And I think what you're seeing from Florida State proves how lucky Michigan State football is right now, because we can say what we want about D'Antonio, but I think what Tucker's been able to build off a little bit is the fact that I think Michigan State had a good culture. I think Mark had us in a good – obviously the players weren't as good at the end as they were early on in his tenure, but I think the culture was good. And I think Mel Tucker's been able to build off that.
I think when Tucker came in and he had some good veteran leadership.
I agree. I mean, we talk about the transfers a lot in Michigan State, but 17 of the 22 starters on our team this year are D'Antonio kids. So we got the guys. The coaching was terrible, especially in offense at the end. And Tucker's been able to get a staff in and he's been able to develop these guys into better players than what they were under D'Antonio. But you look at Florida State, and the culture just sucks. The culture has been awful for years. It started the last year of Jimbo. Ever since Francois went out with that knee injury, first game of the year against Alabama, it has just been downhill from there. They've had off the field issues, and I don't know what they do. I mean, Mike Norvell, you go 0-3, you lose to an FCS team, and people are starting to uncommit. This could spiral really quick for Florida State. And I'm a Florida State fan. I like Florida State. I want Florida State to be great, but this is
Mike loves the
unacceptable.
nighttime tomahawk chop when they're ranked in the top 10.
Yes, this is unacceptable. This is worse than Miami. Miami has got a dead guy at head coach. Florida State, I don't know. I don't know what the heck. I don't know what's wrong with them. Maybe the head coach isn't good enough. Still early on.
Well, they don't invest into the football. They don't invest into the football team.
Yeah, I agree with that generally. They don't invest as much as they should. Miami and Florida State
Not
don't
enough to
invest
be competitive
enough.
where they think they should be. Where they think they should, they don't put in enough money to be where they think they should be.
But here's the thing. Yeah, I mean they're not investing enough in facilities to become a great program like they used to be. But they aren't this bad. They shouldn't be this bad. This is a culture issue. And it's really bad. Really bad.
Well, the problem is you think you should be a top 10 team consistently competing for national championships, but you don't invest the money into it. So then when you go to recruit, you recruit all these big 4- and 5-star guys, and when you don't get them because you don't have the same facilities as everybody else, you settle for these guys where you got programs who they just expect to be top 25 programs, and maybe every once in a while compete for a conference title, can recruit to who they want, and they recruit some of the 4-star guys, some of the 5-star guys, but they recruit more to a model instead of going after the big star guys. So they go for a model, get decent players in who they know they can develop, who have good personalities, and go for a good culture. And that's how they win. And there you have Florida State, who's trying to recruit with the big guys, doesn't get the guys, and they have to settle for whoever they can get.
Well, here's the thing. Florida State is ranked number 10 in recruiting right now. And they were higher, but they've had a decommitment from someone. Number 10, and they've been around number 10 sort of the past couple of years.
Yeah, it's not a good number 10. It's one thing to be number 10 and recruit. Like, one thing if you're Wisconsin, you're number 10, and you're getting the classic Wisconsin guys who you can build a program around for 4 years. It's another thing if you're a Florida State and being number 10 and you're going after trying to be in the top 5.
I think Florida State, you bring in all these talented guys, and I don't know if they're not being coached hard enough. I don't know if the discipline's not good enough, but there's not enough. The culture's not good, and there's not enough discipline there, and there's no player development going on. It's a mess, complete mess. Last year, I said my one wish for Michigan State football was to not become Florida State, and you can see why that's what I wanted to happen. That was my one wish. Okay, let's move on. We got a couple games to preview. We'll start Michigan against Rutgers. Interesting game here. Rutgers, this is a game that they want to prove something. Michigan, of course, is big favorites coming in. So how do you think this game will play out?
Well, here's the thing about Rutgers is that they're no longer the push run of the Big Ten. You could go into Rutgers, you could play your backups and you win. Shiano's come to a point where you should go in to beat them, but if you don't bring your A game, you're on upset alert. And
Well, look,
at Michigan last year.
It doesn't happen that their top two it doesn't help that their top two cornerbacks are in jail right now.
Obviously, but Michigan's going in there. Anything can happen. I think Michigan's going to end up pulling away with it, and they'll probably beat them by a good 20 or 30 points. But I think they're going to keep it close for a quarter, maybe a half.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is going to be close. Rutgers, kind of a scrappy team. Their offense is not very good, but I think their defense will hold Michigan enough in check to stay in the game. And if this game was in Piscataway, I would be looking out for an upset here. But I think Michigan gets the job done. They should be able to run the ball. They should be able to wear them down, and by the end of the game, be able to run the ball enough to win by a couple scores.
Yeah, this is another Washington. It's going to play out similar. Both Washington and Rutgers have pretty good defenses, but Michigan's just going to keep pounding and pounding and pounding. And we'll see how many passes that Heisman Cade will throw. But Chris, here's my theory on McNamara. I want to see what you think about this. I think the coaching staff is looking for a reason to replace Cade McNamara with JJ McCarthy. They're praying for him to make a mistake so that they can put in McCarthy. What do you think about that?
Well, they're not putting him in a position to make mistakes because they're not throwing the ball downfield at all.
Yeah, because they're terrified because he can't throw.
He can throw. They
I don't
want
know.
him
I've never
to be a
seen him
game
throw a
manager.
pass this year. I don't know if he can throw.
They want him to be a game manager, and that's what he is. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, there is something wrong with that when you play a good team that stops the run. There's going to be a lot of things wrong with that.
Well, we'll see. That hasn't happened yet, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be another Washington. Although I think Washington's a little bit better offensively than Rutgers, which says a lot. I think Rutgers take away the Delaware game, and Rutgers' offense has been horrible this year. Their defense has been really good, but their offense has been horrible, and that's not going to win you a game like this. Because I mean, you can have a great offense and a terrible defense and win a shootout, but you can't have a great defense and a terrible offense and win. That's not how it works in today's college football. Michigan will win, and they'll probably cover. What is it, 20? Around 20? They'll probably cover that. All right. Next game, we got Notre Dame against Wisconsin. 12 o'clock on Big Noon.
I truly have no idea how this game's going to go. I mean, if Wisconsin loses, their season's over, and you're going to see a spiral out of control like last year. But I mean, Jack Cohn has been really good for Notre Dame. I think this game ends up being close, and Notre Dame wins it in the last quarter by probably about 10, 14 points.
Yeah, I'm with Luke. I really don't know how this is going to play out. However, I think Notre Dame is the better team, talent-wise. I know this game being played at home for Wisconsin will definitely play into the outcome.
It's at Soldier Field.
The game is at Soldier Field.
Yes.
Okay. Well, never mind then. Notre Dame should win the game. Better quarterback. They're just a more talented team. In Wisconsin, we saw it against Penn State. Their offense a little bit inept. So
a little bit.
Yeah,
a lot bit inept.
I'm expecting Notre Dame to win the game.
Oh, this is Wisconsin's season here. And it might be Notre Dame's season too. This is a huge game for both programs. I think it's bigger for Wisconsin because Wisconsin, yes, you got the one loss, but your whole season, your whole Big Ten season is still ahead of you. You got to make sure that Iowa game at home on October 30th. Again, October 30th. What a date October 30th is going to be. So many big games. But you got to make sure that game is for the Big Ten West. That's what your goal has to be. And if you lose to Notre Dame, all the wins is out of your sails to start the year. You're 1-2, and a good Michigan team is coming in next week. And I don't know how you get off the mat from that. I don't know how you do it. It's going to be a neutral site. It's probably going to be a little 50-50, I'd say, in terms of fans.
No, Notre Dame will have more fans. There's no way they don't.
No, I think Wisconsin will travel pretty well.
No, I agree with you, but isn't Chicago a lot closer to South Bend?
Yeah, but Wisconsin's like 20 minutes north of Chicago, isn't it? I mean, it's not very far away at all from Wisconsin. I mean, Graham Mertz has been so bad, and he was bad against Eastern Michigan. But Wisconsin's defense is just so good. I'm not sure if I can go against Wisconsin's defense because I don't think Notre Dame's offense is very good. I don't think Notre Dame has played anybody good this year and succeeded. Till that Toledo game was a joke. They should have lost that game. They took care of business against Purdue. I think Wisconsin's just a better team. And I think they're going to be more desperate to win this game. It wouldn't shock me if Wisconsin blew them out. It wouldn't. but it wouldn't shock me if Notre Dame won. I think it shows a lot. This game,
After watching the Wisconsin team last year, I don't think they have any heart. I don't think they care.
yeah, I mean, the game started as a pick'em, and it's all the way up to Wisconsin -6.5. Everybody is betting Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's the better team. I disagree with Chris. I think Wisconsin's more talented.
Well,
Maybe
you
not in
look at the
terms,
talent composite.
maybe not in terms of pure talent, but in terms of player development talent. I don't see how Notre Dame's going to move the ball a whole lot. I like Jack Cohn, but Wisconsin, they held Eastern Michigan to 1 first down the other night. They are a great defense. So we'll see. I like Wisconsin in this game. All right, final game, a true trap game. For Saturday, 7 p.m. on FS1. It'll be mid-60s at kickoff. It'll go into the 50s, possible chance of rain. Nebraska travels to Michigan State.
Yes, I think this is definitely a trap game for Michigan State. I think they're riding on all the highs. Nebraska's also coming off a really tough loss, big rivalry game they lost. In the way they lost it, I think Michigan State will get it done, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think Nebraska's a lot better than what their record is. I don't think they're great. And I think Michigan State should win this game. I think they will get it done, but I think it's going to be a lot closer. And we'll see the heart that they have.
Yeah, I don't know why we're previewing this game. Michigan State is going to win in a blowout. They're at home, and Nebraska sucks. So this is not going to be close. Not sure why we're previewing this game.
But what did I say about Nebraska? I thought Nebraska's biggest challenge this year is their schedule. Their schedule is brutal, absolutely brutal. From the Big Ten East, you get Michigan, Ohio State, and I think they play Ohio State every year, but I think this is the last year that's happening because Big Ten's getting rid of protected rivals, except for Purdue and Indiana. And then you got a Michigan State team who is a lot better than a lot of people thought coming into the year. So, and then you still got Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I mean, my gosh, they got, what do they got? So they played 4 games. They got 8 games left, and 5 of them are against ranked opponents. But I really like this Nebraska team. I was impressed with what I've seen the past couple of weeks. I know it's Buffalo, but Coastal Carolina struggled with Buffalo on the road and barely won. And they handled them pretty well. And I think Martinez has been way better than he was in week 0 against Illinois. He was terrible. But he's been accurate with the ball. They've got some weapons. They've got a couple tight ends who are really good. Their defense is good. I think they struggle against the run a little bit, which I think Michigan State can exploit a little bit. Oklahoma, that's the way Oklahoma was able to sort of pull away at the end by going on that long drive, running the ball. I hope Michigan State can run the ball in Nebraska because Nebraska's pass defense is good. And I think they're a physical team. This is probably the most physical Nebraska team that they've ever had since joining the Big Ten. It's going to be a very close game. It's going to be a game in the 4th quarter. And you hope that what you've seen from Michigan State will continue, that they can pull away at the end, and their defense can stop a good Nebraska offense. But this is a huge game for Nebraska because if Nebraska wins this game, all of a sudden you're 4-2, or you're 3-2, and then you got Northwestern next week, so you're 4-2. And then listen, you're 2 games away from a bowl game. You're looking up. You've got chances to do something in the Big Ten West. I'm not saying they're going to do something in the Big Ten West, but at least you have chances to do something in the Big Ten West. But if you lose this game, all of a sudden you're 0-2 in Big Ten play. You're 2-3 overall, and the sky's falling. And I don't know if they lose this game, I don't know if Nebraska can make a bowl. I don't know if they can do it. Their schedule's way too difficult towards the end of the year. So I think you're going to get a desperate Nebraska team.
Desperate Scott Frost.
I think Nebraska's going to win the game. I think, yeah, it's a team that is coaching for, or players that are playing for their coach's job. This is a classic desperation and a trap game for Michigan State coming off that big win. So I already told you who I'm going to pick. All right, let's move on to the picks. A little bit of a head start. Wake Forest is already playing Virginia, but who's going to win that game?
I don't know much about either. Did Virginia win last week? I picked them to win last week.
No, they lost.
Oh, well, way to let me down. I guess I'll go with Wake Forest then.
I'm going to take Wake Forest because they're up 7-0.
Well, I'm going to take Virginia because I think Virginia's the better team. But here, let me shout out Wake Forest. I didn't talk about them, but that is a tough place to win, and they are doing good things there. Dave Clawson now. He should be fired for getting rid of or for letting Kenneth Walker leave, though. That was not a great move there, but
Not that
whatever. It's still working out for Wake Forest. They're playing well. Okay, Liberty at Syracuse. Also later tonight.
Liberty.
Liberty.
Yep, Liberty. I have no idea how Dino hasn't been fired yet. We say this every year, do we not? I have no idea how Dino has been fired yet.
The money.
All right. Tomorrow, 12 p.m. on ESPN2, Missouri at Boston College.
I'm gonna go with Boston College. Eli Drinkowitz gave them some what's it called? Bulletin board material.
I'm going to take Boston College here. They're the far better team. They're probably going to win this game very easily.
Missouri, SEC, it just means more, faster, better talent. BC without their quarterback. I'll take Missouri. Now, this is an interesting game. Another swing sort of game. We got LSU at Mississippi State.
Yeah, I'm taking Will Rogers in Mississippi State. Heisman winner for next year.
LSU.
I like LSU just because I think the talent's a little bit better, and I don't think they're going to lose this game. I don't see it.
Well, it's the Will Rogers factor. You want to talk about getting screwed? Mississippi State got absolutely screwed last week. What a freaking job they got.
Yeah, that wasn't great. Oh, we got a rivalry game in Austin, Texas Tech at Texas.
Texas.
Well, if you remember last year, my guy Alan Bowman, who's now third string quarterback in Michigan, he had his team up by 17 with like 5 minutes to go, and then Texas recovered an onside kick and they won the game in overtime. But that's not going to happen. I think Texas is going to win. All right, pick for Notre Dame at Wisconsin, or Notre Dame home against Wisconsin. Not home, but neutral site.
I'm taking Notre Dame. Mike, I have this thing as a pick'em game.
What?
This thing's almost back to a pick'em game.
What are you talking about?
I see the odds as Wisconsin -3, but it's
Really,
a
I
hard
see
plus
-6.5.
Interesting. What's that called? Because they're -3, but it's +103 if you bet them, and it's -117 if you bet Notre Dame +3.
I'm taking Notre Dame.
I'm taking Wisconsin. How about this game? 12 noon. What would this be? 10 a.m. local time. Boise State
New
at
Hampshire, Pittsburgh.
no, no.
No.
Boise State at Utah State on CBS.
Boise State.
Boise State.
Well, Utah State's got to win against Washington State.
Well, they have
Boise-
probably the best quarterback. I mean, everyone's talking about Carson Strong.
Well, he's at Nevada.
Oh shit! I get their colors got me confused.
Yeah. Boise State's choked 2 games this year. They choked at UCF and they choked against Oklahoma State last week. They'll win this game. I'll take Boise. Maine at Northern Illinois.
There's no line on this game, Mike. I'll take Maine.
Maine.
I can't go against my guy Rocky Lombardi. God, I hope Maine doesn't win.
This might be the game that makes it up for you for last week.
Yeah, hopefully. This is a terrible game. Louisville at Florida State.
Louisville.
Florida State.
Yeah, I can't pick Florida State. What I've seen from Florida State, they are a complete mess. I'll take Louisville. Rutgers at Michigan.
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 Michigan. Clemson at NC State. Now, if we look at this game the past couple of years, this is not even going to turn on this game at all because Clemson will win by 30. But now this is sort of a game. This is a game you look at in 2015 and say, "Oh, this is a game. It could be close at the end." But over the past couple of years in college football, with these big time teams just killing or going way better, way farther than these smaller teams, these games have been close. But I think this game will be close. So Clemson at NC State.
I'll take Clemson.
Clemson.
Clemson because what's his name? The NC State coach can't win a big game to save his life. Illinois at Purdue.
I think Purdue's better than what they've played, but I have no confidence in them. But I'll take Purdue. So I don't think Illinois is any good.
I agree. I'm taking Purdue.
Purdue, Illinois blows. Iowa State at Baylor.
Iowa State.
Yeah, Iowa State. A lot of people are picking Baylor here, but Iowa State is the far better team.
Law of averages, give me Baylor.
That's awful. That's terrible.
Well, have you looked at Baylor's offensive line? It's been graded the best offensive line in college football this
Iowa
year,
State's better than that.
even though they played nobody. Baylor. Okay, Texas A&M against Arkansas. This game is at Jerry's World. Who wins this game?
I think this could be an upset by Arkansas. I think they're really well coached. I'm going to take A&M.
I'm taking Texas A&M. This game is not going to be close.
Well, A&M was my playoff pick, and it's not looking great right now. Backup quarterbacks in Arkansas. They have a true identity. They know what they want to do. They want to run the ball. And Texas A&M, I think they're very talented, but I'm not going to go against my playoff pick this early. I'm going to take Texas A&M. We got a barn burner. Kansas at Duke.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. What's the line in this game?
Oh, it was
Duke
like Duke
minus 11 and a half.
12
I'll
or
take
something.
Duke.
Yeah, I'm going to take Duke.
Yeah, I'll take Duke also. UCLA at Stanford.
UCLA. I don't think Stanford's very good.
UCLA.
Yeah, I'm going to take UCLA. I don't trust Stanford. Nebraska at Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Nebraska. Kentucky at South Carolina.
Kentucky, I hope.
Kentucky.
Yeah, it's going to be a long rebuilding process for Shane Beamer. I think Kentucky's good. I'll take Kentucky. Kansas State at Oklahoma State. Another one of those games where you're not going to watch it, but it's an interesting game.
What's the game? Kansas State at
At
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma.
I'll take Oklahoma State.
I agree. Oklahoma State.
Kansas State quarterback Skylar Thompson out. Oklahoma State, they've won close every game this year. Haven't looked very impressive, but they can run it. Yeah, I'll take Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State would be the worst 4-0 team if they win. They have not looked impressive, but you win, you win. Akron at Ohio State.
Ohio State. This is a trap game.
Ohio State.
Akron,
It's a trap
No.
game.
the Ohio State.
What's the line,
what?
Mike?
What?
Does Ohio State cover?
The 48.5?
Yeah.
Probably. That's how bad Akron is. Probably.
They won last week, though, didn't they? I think they
Uh,
did. They beat somebody.
Yeah, they played some FCS team, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay, West Virginia at Oklahoma.
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 But it'll be close. Indiana at Western Kentucky.
Oh yeah, they played Bryant. That's right. They played Bryant. Bryant, historically good football program. I'll
Yeah.
take Indiana.
Indiana.
I'm taking the Fighting Bailey Zappies and the Hilltoppers. I'm taking Western Kentucky. There goes my Rocky Lombardi pick. Wash it down the drain. All right, Cal at Washington.
Washington.
Cal. Washington sucks.
I'll take Washington. They're more talented. And final game, Oregon State at USC.
USC.
Caden Slovis is back. I'll take USC.
Well, that's not a good thing. That kid who was starting for USC absolutely lit it up last week. I can't remember his name, but
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart. That's right. Look straight into my eyes. The Beavers are winning the football game. The Beavers are winning this football game. My guy, Jonathan Smith, the team is going to be ready. We are going to come out there. We are going to run the football. We are going to get it to our big play receivers. My guy, Chance Nolan, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Oregon State, 38. USC, 35. Oregon State's going 9-3 this year. I'll take Oregon State. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the Big Four podcast. We will see you next week. Thank you for watching.